Good evening everyone, my name is Anna Reid and I'm the Dean of the Sydney Conservatorium of Music, and beside me is my Deputy Professor Matthew Heinsohn. We're here to welcome you tonight to our online open day, and we hope that tonight you're going to experience some incredible things, music from our students, lots of engaging chatter from us, some Zoom discussions afterwards, nice ideas from a student who's with us this evening, and we just hope that you're just going to have a really good experience understanding what the Conservatorium is like and how you can be part of that experience and prepare for your future career. So we're sitting here tonight streaming in from Gadigal land. This is quite an important concept for us because for millennia people learned about music and living and life through dance and song on this land. And so we still do that as musicians. All musicians think about music as who we are in society, what groups of people we engage with. And we are the people who make culture. So we're really pleased tonight to have a first piece of music for you, which is called Bangaree, from a resistance story of a man called Jandamara.
So that was a performance from the Sydney Conservatorium students from a couple of years ago, Anna, and it was a piece from a piece by one of our staff members here, Paul Stanhope, a composition called Jandamara. And that was amazing, wasn't it? Because we had so many of our performers, all our students from across our degrees performing in that major work.
It was quite amazing also because the work belongs to a particular Indigenous community and they were the main singers on the stage. So our students had this fantastic experience where they sung in language. We had so many of our orchestral students, our choral students, and this wonderful group of artists singing along with us. It was a great, wonderful and amazing experience.
We were just reflecting on it when it was playing, how incredible it was. And so, by the way, my name's Matthew Heinsohn. I'm the Deputy Dean here. I'm also a composer. And Anna, you're a performer and a musicologist and all sorts of things.
I think that's the joy about being here at the Conservatorium, is that every staff member isn't just doing one thing, we all do several things. And essentially we love what we're doing. And so being able to work with young people to help them bring forward their love is just our game.
Absolutely. So you may be interested in applying for the Conservatorium, in applying to do one of our degrees here. And we'll talk about the range of degrees we have a little bit later. But what's the process? Do you mind if I just talk through the process now, Anna?
I'd love you to.
So if you're interested in applying, number one thing is to go to the Sydney University music section, which is us, the Conservatorium of Music, our website, and look for the audition information. In fact, we might get our helpers here to post a link to that audition page right now. Because everyone that comes to study here, Anna, it doesn't matter what they're studying, has to do an audition or an interview with a portfolio before you're considered.
That might be a bit frightening.
Well, it sounds like it, doesn't it? But it's not really. We just want to make sure that the students we're going to get here have the skills necessary and to succeed in what they're doing.
Do you have any tips for somebody who might be applying? Well,
for those of you who are interested in doing a performance degree, there's a Zoom session straight after this online open day session, which in fact our discipline experts will be able to talk through that. What I would say is, look, if you don't do an audition because you're too scared, well, you won't come here.
I think it's pretty obvious. If you don't try, you won't get it.
Yeah.
And in fact, what we love is young musicians. We know you're not fully formed just yet. That's our job when you get here. We just really want to know who you are musically and just do your best.
Absolutely. And so you do an audition. The other side of things is you must be registered in UAC to come and study here, because it's funny actually, sometimes we get students who put their application in through UAC and they think that's it.
Yep.
But no, you also have to do the audition or the portfolio with the interview if you're in one of the composition-based items. So this process, I hope it's not too scary. It's just, it's about us getting to know you, and also gives you, the applicant, the chance to ask our staff some questions. So as I said, we've got a session straight after this on Zoom for those who've registered to ask some questions, but you can also ask questions as part of the audition process.
Yeah. We often get asked if we have a quota at the con. Do we only take 15 pianos? Do we only take 10 violins and so forth? We actually don't have a quota on anything. What we want is the best musicians to be here at the Conservatorium. So whether you're a contemporary music artist or a composer, or you're really keen to being a music educator, if you play the violin magnificently, if you're a Baroque oboist, we really want you here. So give it a good go. Just come.
Absolutely. And we've got an example coming up now of an amazing student. Well, actually, we've got so many amazing students. But this student, Beatrice Columbus, recently performed the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto with our orchestra. And she's just finishing 4th year. And I know, I mean, she was a good student when she came here, but I tell you what, she's just improved out of sight with the quality of teaching she had.
Yeah, it's really quite extraordinary how people go from being, I don't know, young musical artists to gobsmackingly amazing mature artists in the 4 years that we have them. Beatrice is a great example of that, and I was just remembering when I was young, Richard Todnietti was the Beatrice Columbus of that time, playing exactly the same concerto. So what I think is once you've finished here, your world is bright.
Absolutely. So let's now hear Beatrice Columbus play the finale of the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto with the Sydney Conservatorium Symphony Orchestra.
Well, I hope you all like listening to Beatrice. I really loved it when I heard it live, and I was stunned by the way her fellow students really supported her performance. It was such a joyful moment, and when you come, you can experience that as well. You might notice that Matthew Heinsohn has changed. He's suddenly become Jasmine Barnes, who's a third-year student. Why did you come to the con?
Why did I come to the con? Well, I came to the conservatorium actually because my drama teacher and my music teacher heavily, influenced me and told me, you must apply, you must do an audition, you are exceptional, and that is the place to be. And where I grew up in the South Coast in Ulladulla, but I lived in Lake Conjola, and I actually didn't even know that the Conservatorium of Music existed. So I heard about it from my teachers and instantly, went on the website, had a look at everything that I could kind of find online, and I was just amazed. It was kind of like everything that I had ever dreamed of and imagined that I kind of wanted for myself, because at the time, I just didn't know that there was a place that, facilitated music and your dreams in a music world. So
Jasmine, what do you think your future will look like? What are you hoping to do when you leave?
Well, I feel like I have a few things. As you were kind of saying before, musicians are pretty broad. We have so many different things that we want to do, but I'd love to be a professional songwriter, and I'm currently, I like to songwrite in studios and sessions, but I also, really want to cater to my own career as a songwriter and artist. So I'm currently working on an EP under Jasmine Golden. Golden's actually my mother's surname, so I've kind of, paid a bit of an homage there and kind of going appreciating my mother there with my artist name. But yeah, and like I think I've mentioned to you personally, but I am working kind of together with a record label as well. So that's something that I have done through actually making demos at the Conservatorium of Music. So, you know, learning these skills of how to record and make music has influenced me to meet and network and make real connections in the music industry. So it's pretty big.
And you're wearing a pretty peculiar kind of a jumper. You look a little bit branded.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit what you're wearing that for?
Well, I'm wearing this because I'm a student ambassador. So I'm a student ambassador for the Conservatorium of Music, and the Conservatorium of Music is under the umbrella of the University of Sydney, which might explain why you see that. Some people don't actually know that the University of Sydney is connected with the Conservatorium of Music, so that's a little fun fact for you. But I will say that this is the student ambassador uniform. I was so fortunate as my Sydney scholarship for regional and rural. I got a scholarship, and they were looking for students that were from regional areas. They wanted people with those experiences to represent the uni and represent the conservatorium. So I did my interview and applied, and I'm an ambassador, and I absolutely love it. I mean, you know, speaking upon those kind of dreams and things that I could never imagine. I really never thought that the reality that I'm living in now with music and the con and being an ambassador for the con is just something that for me just felt so out of my realm of possibilities. But it turns out that for me, I did a portfolio / interview, and it worked. It does work, and it's not as scary as it feels. It was actually so pleasant, and it was so nice, and I left that interview feeling like an adrenaline of like a rush of excitement, because I was like, wow, these people, they just know, they totally get me, you know. It was like the first time meeting people that they really, you know, saw my passion, you know, that was so special to me. So,
and
yeah.
what has it been like moving up from Ulladulla?
Moving up from a small town in general, I think that, you know, you get that kind of, you know, it's surprising. It's like, oh wow, you know, there's buses and trains, you've got to figure out all that stuff, and it's a city, it's big, and where's the con, how do I get there, like all these kinds of bits and bobs. But you really do settle in quite quick. I think one of the big things that I will say about the conservatorium is that it is such an incredible tight-knit of people that within your first day you will make friends almost instantly. I think I found the biggest sense of community here that I think I've ever had. Like, I think everyone's so kind and everyone's just so approachable. So, you know, I'd say as anyone that's from a regional or rural area or an international student, I think that, you know, if there's any fears or worries about, you know, making friends and having a sense of community, I wouldn't fret about that. It's pretty incredible. You'll make friends really fast.
And finally, what advice do you have for new students?
Advice for new students? I would say don't be scared. I feel like, you know, that there's that kind of feeling of the audition or the portfolio and interview and that kind of fear. I feel like it's okay to feel nervous and anxious because it is still an interview and an audition. But I think, like, don't be scared. Be yourself. Have a sense of originality. Be authentically yourself. Don't be scared to show who you are. I think that's what shines through in an interview, and that's what the conservatorium would love to see. And just kind of, you know, don't be afraid. In general, you know, if you get into the conservatorium, don't be scared to say hi to people. Don't be scared to try as many things as possible, even music-wise, because you're going to be around a plethora of different cultures and different styles of music and things. So it's always great to kind of just don't be scared. Don't be scared of anything. Just take everything at a good aim, at a good whim.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much, Jasmine. I really appreciate all of your thoughts.
All good. Thank you.
So now we're going to give you an experience of some other things that have been happening here at the Conservatorium. Firstly, you're going to have a day in the life of music theatre students, and then followed by something else, a fellow called Matt Landy.
Hi everyone, my name is Matt Landy and I'm a singer-songwriter and saxophonist. I studied the contemporary music degree at the Con and I loved it. Before coming to the Con, I had a big background in jazz and classical music. But I had this great love for popular music. I really wanted to sing my own songs, I wanted to produce my own songs, and I wanted to play sax solos in them. So I chose the contemporary degree because it seemed like the one that most fit for me. And I'm so happy that I did because my lecturers, JD, Toby, Paul and Rainbow really helped me during those 4 years to hone my songwriting craft, get my recording skills up better, my producing skills better, my band skills, live performing skills. They just really helped me grow as a performer. In those 4 years, I was making a lot of songs and then I was just releasing them continuously, and I'd started to build up a little bit of an audience online on TikTok and YouTube, and that led to my biggest song, Oh Man What Of You, which was a big hit with the LGBTQ community on TikTok, and I had tons of people just dancing and singing along to the song. One of the highlights was just making a music video from all of that. The song going on to get 80,000 plays or something. One of my other songs, Picnic in the Woods.
Wow!
Went on to be a massive crowd pleaser, and I get to perform it with the Ramshackle Orchestra. The final year at the Con was my favorite year ever. It was the honours year and I got to work with Paul Mac, who's like somebody I really look up to. And he helped me craft my debut album, 12-track album about queer love and life. And I feel like after 4 years, this album is truly me. It's my voice, it's my style. I've got a singer-songwriter in there. I've got some indie pop, I've got a little bit of jazz. And the lyrics in the new songs are cool to me because they're all a spin-off of popular fairy tales or fantasy stories, but with a modern queer outlook.
And I love you so much I'd say that this draft won't ever go away.
I'm looking to release it now next year, and I've got some listeners that are eager to hear it. I'm super grateful to the Con because they've given me so many skills for music, and they've helped me make so many friends, connected with so many other performers, and now I'm just excited about my future.
I so love hearing the success stories from the students. I mean, and there's so many of them. It's really wonderful. Congratulations, Matt, and I look forward to hearing more of you in the future. Look, perhaps we can answer some of the questions now that have come in, and the first one we'll answer is from one of our international students, and we love our international students, and it was great to hear Jasmine know how much valued they are here as members of our community. And you wanted to know about the process of applying if you're an international student. Well, I've already talked about the audition. And so you need to do an audition or submit a portfolio and have an interview, the same as any domestic student. So you do that through the portal, which is called Accepted, which you get through the Sydney Conservatorium of Music audition page. So you might want to go there. The other side of things is you need to apply directly to the University of Sydney. And the University of Sydney has a web page on their website specifically for potential international students. So all the information about how to apply and like what visa timelines you need and all that sort of stuff you'll find on there. The English language requirements, I mean, it is important. I can't remember what the IELTS numbers are. There might be 7 or 6. 7. Sorry, I can't remember. But look, once you are offered a place at the University of Sydney, at the Sydney Conservatorium of Music, you do have to meet those IELTS requirements. So your offer can be conditional on you getting those English language requirements. For everybody in Australia, you may be wondering about the ATAR requirement. The minimum ATAR we require is 70. So if you get an ATAR above 70, you're right there. There may be some adjustments for some students, and you can look on the University of Sydney page for more information about that. Anna, there's a good question about if you're applying for second semester, do you miss out on all the work you do, the other students do in first semester?
Yes and no is the answer to that. The course runs for 4 years, whichever undergraduate course you're doing, and you will need to fulfil all of the requirements of those courses regardless of when you start. However, we do teach our fundamental courses in the first semester of first year, and that's where you actually meet all of your friends. So if it's at all possible, we really encourage people to start in first semester rather than second semester. So if you're somebody who's thinking they might want to take a gap year, take a gap year. Don't take a gap half a year. The reason for that is that as your course progresses, you'll discover that your cohort is all building up to particular things at particular times. So performance students, for instance, are generally doing their final recitals at the end of third year and fourth year. And if you're out of phase, it just becomes a little bit more difficult, but not impossible. So we just encourage starting first semester, first year for the best experience. MT?
Well, yeah, so look, for those of you who are interested in applying for music theatre, there's a slightly different process to most students, and if you've already submitted a video submission for music theatre, you'll hear about the callbacks in the week of the 11th of September, so be prepared for that. And another great question is about portfolio interviews. What do you need to prepare? Well, this is actually a really important point for everyone. It's really important that you look up the audition requirements for the degrees that you're interested in. So, for example, if you're applying for contemporary music, you have to submit 3 original songs, and we're just looking for the music, to be honest. You don't have to supply, certificates and this and that. That's not really what we're interested in. We're most interested in the music. If you're interested in composition, again, you have to submit 3 original compositions. And if it's the audition requirements document on the website will tell you exactly what else you need to do. So, for example, a score, if you need to submit a score or whatever else it is. The other really important point for all you performers out there who are interested in applying is make sure that you come to the audition with the right audition materials. I mean, I've heard stories about, for example, in piano, I think you have to play all these different things, and sometimes people turn up and they're missing half of it. I mean, in that case, we can't offer you a place. We can't even consider offering you a place because you haven't done what's in the audition document. So it's really important that you read that audition document for the area that you're interested in and follow it really carefully.
Every so often, people play many instruments and write a lot of music and can't actually decide what degree they want to do. And so if you're a multi-instrumentalist and a composer and a singer and you love the theatre and you like writing your own EPs, our suggestion is that you apply for everything that you would want to apply for. We're very helpful. If you do very, very well playing the cello, but you bomb out as an original songwriter, we will offer you a spot in cello and not in contemporary music, and vice versa. So apply for what you think you want to do, and we will help you make those choices.
Yeah, great. And the other thing is about the ATAR. We get a lot of questions about this. People are worried about the ATAR. I mean, look, the ATAR for domestic students, the score you get is the score that you get. Sometimes we see people have asked, if I get 99, whatever it is it more likely I'm going to be offered a place? Well, no, because really, if you might be the most amazing person that you're doing your ATAR, but you mightn't have the skills that we require musically for what the area you're interested in. There are scholarships and those sorts of things which are available. But really, again, the importance is on the audition and the portfolio interview if you're doing those sorts of things.
Some of you who are in Year 12 now, if you're applying in the rounds that are coming up in September, will receive something which we call a CASAS offer, which is a special entry scheme for people who, if we think you've got the talent and your predicted ATAR is fine, we'll give you an immediate offer into the course. So in other words, all the pressure is off. If you happen to miss that, or you're a mature age student, or have some other variation, or music education, you'll receive your offer in different offer rounds. Music education is special because we must know that you've got the right bands in English and mathematics, which is one of the legal requirements to do that course.
Doesn't it sound so complicated? It is.
It really does.
It is a little bit, but I tell you what, look on the website, and if you have any questions, you can always write to con.apply@sydney.edu.au, and they'll help you answer your questions. Now, Anna, one of the reasons why I chose back in the day, in the ancient times when I was thinking about what university and what career to go to, I chose to come to the University of Sydney, and it's because I wanted to study with Peter Sculthorpe. So I came for the staff. You're the Dean, you're in charge of the staff here at the Sydney Conservatorium. What can you tell us about this type of people that we have here working?
Well, pretty much we're the top of the food chain as far as education goes musically, and the people that we have as our teachers are famous artists, international reputations, incredible composers. In other words, to be here, your teacher needs to be at the top of their game. So most of them have got higher degrees, which means that they are research active. Research active is an interesting term, and it really sounds like a very important university term, but what it means is that they are really critical thinkers, and they really work deeply on their musical art, their compositional art, their educational practices. So I feel like my colleagues are incredibly well prepared to teach you, the next generation of wonderful artists. But some of you are going to want to come and do composition, and you're going to want to come and do composition because you might have studied in school this incredible composer called Matthew Heinsohn, who happens to be sitting right here beside me, and we're about to play his trumpet concerto.
And the reason we chose this is not because I'm sitting here, but in fact, the soloist in this trumpet concerto, his name's Owen Morris. Now, he's another example of a student who did incredible things, became principal trumpeter at the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra, and is currently principal trumpeter of the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra. And he's one of our staff members here. So this is an example of the sort of calibre of staff member that you can get if you come to study with us here at the Sydney Conservatorium of Music.
So some of you started putting up some questions, and so we're going to answer a few of those and then talk about the quite diverse curriculum that we have here at the Conservatorium. So a vocal student as one, there are many options that you have. One is to be a classical vocal student as part of the Bachelor of Music Performance, or you can become part of the music theatre group also as part of the Bachelor of Music Performance degree. There are some units that you will do in common, but each of them demands a particular specialism in terms of the production of your voice. So we put you into the spot where you are most likely to thrive, and of course if you're going to be a music theatre artist, you're also going to need to be able to dance and act, and we teach you how to do that as well.
Can I just say, Anna, that all those degrees are all part of the Bachelor of Music Performance. So when you're looking for the UAC code there, if you're doing a performance-based specialisation or principal study, as we call it, that all goes in under the Bachelor of Music Performance in UAC.
And that includes jazz, and that includes drum kit, and it includes guzheng, and it includes violin, and it includes piano. So you get the picture. If you're going to play something, it's a Bachelor of Music Performance. If you're going to write music, there's two different options. One is the Bachelor of Music Composition, and the other is just doing the Bachelor of Music in the Composition for Creative Industries or Digital Music and Media. And again, as we said before, if you bring a portfolio and you don't know where you belong, we'll help you pick the right course to fulfill your own compositional needs and desires.
So look, we do have a lot of different degrees. We don't have that many degrees. We've got different principal study areas, and so that means different disciplines. The best thing to do, we've taken a lot of care to put as much information as we can on the website about those different degrees, and there's a thing called the Sydney Conservatorium Handbook, and that tells you exactly what you have to do in your degree. It's a really good idea to look up that. If you want to sort of know what goes into each of these degrees, you can look up the handbook. You can even look at the subjects and you can see what's in each subject that you do at different stages of your degree. It's a really good thing for you to look up that before you go to your audition or your interview, because the staff can help ask further questions about it as they progress.
So if you're the sort of person who just wishes that you could have music lessons all day, that's what happens here at the Con. You do have music lessons all day. Finally, the spot for you. And looking at that handbook lets you see the breadth of curriculum that you'll be able to study whilst you're here. And let me tell you, parents, if you're online here, this is not a shallow degree and fluffy. It's actually really hard work. The students who come here are the serious musicians. And we make sure that by the end of the degree, everybody's superbly equipped for the work that they're going to do as musicians when they complete.
I will say, Anna, there are students, I was one of those students who just wanted to do music. But look, there are other people who are interested in more than music. They may be interested in music and something else. And we have a range of double degree options for there.
Can you explain what the bass is?
Yeah, there's one set of double degrees which are paired, if you like, with a degree called the Bachelor of Advanced Studies. And you might think, what does that mean? Well, that gives students doing the performance degree or the Bachelor of Composition degree the opportunity to do a second major. And by that I mean something from somewhere else in the university. And if you look up on the university website for something called Table S, and S stands for shared because it's shared amongst all the university, you can see the range of second majors you can do. So for example, you might be really interested in French, and you might want to have, in addition to your music theatre degree, you may want to do music theatre in performance, I was going to say. You may want to do a second major in French, and you use the Bachelor of Advanced Studies for that. The range is extraordinary. You can do a second major in banking. You can even, I saw one the other day, you can even do a second major in soil science. So, you know, it's very, so if you were interested in, for example, doing maths, there was a question about can you do a second major in maths? That's the way to do it. If you're applying for a Bachelor of Performance or Bachelor of Composition, you have to apply for what's called the double degrees. So look up that on the website. For those students who are interested in doing a second major who would want to do the Bachelor of Music, so majoring in musicology or composition for creative industries or digital music and media or contemporary music, you're lucky because you have that second major thing built into your degree. You don't have to do any other thing at this stage.
I guess that's what's so great about actually being part of a big university, that you can follow your interests. I can't imagine why anybody would have an interest outside music, but nevertheless, if you're one of those strange creatures that do, you can do astrophysics at the same time.
And look, Anna, you said something really important before, which is that we offer specialist degrees and also a professional degree in music education. And the reason why that's really important is because when you come to do these music degrees, you specialise in something. You gave the great example of music theatre. You have to specialise in music theatre singing and dancing and acting. Because of that, you don't get the chance, for example, to do much outside your area in terms of jazz, for example, if you're doing a classical degree. You will have most students have some free choice in their degrees, which they might be able to choose a jazz unit in that. But it's not really the case that you could, for example, major in composition and flute, for example.
That's exactly right. At this level of study, we expect people will be really serious about a particular thing, and we try to make sure that whichever thing people are best at, that's the thing that we absolutely focus their education upon. You can do electives from amongst our own team, but when you think about it, music has got 1,000 years worth of history, and that means 1,000 years worth of music to be learned, to be played, to be explored, and across nearly every nation in the world we have something that will show you something about how music was made then. Behind Matthew you'll see another strange instrument sitting there, music from Myanmar, for instance. So we look at what you need to be a professional musician, and it's actually hard work, very exciting, quite diverse, but we do expect you to follow the patterns of study that we put down based on the experience that we've had.
Now, I mentioned jazz before, and our next performance is from two of our students, it's actually more than two, but there's two students highlighted, Bernice and Tess, and they're going to be playing a short example from our outstanding jazz program we have at the Sydney Conservatorium of Music. just remember seeing Bernice and Tess when they'd come back from one of the tours, and I think it was a tour
To Vietnam?
I think it was Vietnam.
Yep.
We have a lot of touring opportunities for our students at the Conservatorium, don't we? I think definitely more than any other Australian institution.
So over time, we've had lots of people who've really enjoyed listening to our students and understand our desire to enable our students to have the musical life that a musician might have. And that means touring and getting out there and being part of communities that are beyond the space that you might live in. So we've had symphony tours to Europe, small ensembles out to Asia. We do regular tours into the regional areas of New South Wales. People have been down to jazz festivals. We collaborate with students in Thailand. We go everywhere, but the wonderful thing is that when our students go on tour, you don't pay for it, we do. So if you've been part of a youth orchestra or a school where you've been asked to put your hand in your pocket to go on tour, we don't do that. That's part of our belief in equity, that we want all of our students to have the opportunity to travel and experience music making. So come to the con, go overseas, we'll help you do that. And you get to stay in a hotel room, which is really nice.
Well, I'm looking forward to going with the brass ensemble to China next month, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
It's really exciting. That's just one tour that's taking place. Let's answer some more questions from people.
Yeah, let's do that.
From people from regional areas, is there anything that you need to be aware of when applying to the Conservatorium or studying at the con?
Well, I guess the most important thing is to realise that Sydney is a big city and that you'll need to find somewhere to live that's affordable. University's got many colleges that you can stay in that usually have scholarships for music students. I think their scholarship applications for the colleges end in October, so if you're thinking of coming, apply now to the colleges. The other thing is there's a lot of share houses in the inner city areas, so you'll find something. And for regional students, we also have some very generous scholarship programs. So once you arrive, you can apply for the regional scholarships and we'll help you out as much as we can.
Indeed. And there's a question about music production, people interested in that. I will say in our contemporary music degree, Anna, there's a really strong focus on music production.
Yep.
It's not really about teaching you how to win Australian Idol. It's more about teaching you to write and create and perform amazing music. So I'd look for the contemporary music degree program there. Anna, can you tell us about the Bachelor of Arts music program and how people apply for that? Because it's a little bit different.
Yes, so as we said before, the Conservatorium has our specialist degrees. But if you're just somebody who loves music and wants to study history, mathematics, science, whatever, you can do a Bachelor of Arts, which is a 3-year degree, not a 4-year degree. And inside that degree, you can be a major in music and economics, if you wish, and political science. But you can do a major in music as part of the Bachelor of Arts. It's distinctly different from the Conservatorium because for that degree, you don't need to do an audition. For that degree, you just need to get the right ATAR and put it into UAC.
That's right, but it is quite a different degree to the specialist and professional music degrees. So make sure you do your research and really look at the handbook. For that one, you'd look up the Arts Handbook to find out more about the music major. There's a great question here from a classical trumpeter online. Hello, and I hope you enjoyed Owen Morris's performance of my piece. I sure did. Wanting to know if you can audition for the big bands. And the answer is yes, but perhaps that's a different question actually if we turn it around a bit and talk about the amazing ensemble program that we have here at the Conservatorium.
Yes, when I was a student here, there was half an orchestra really, and that was okay. But here we've got about 8 large ensembles. They go from the jazz big bands. There are, 4 jazz big bands I think at the moment. Yep, that's 4. Chinese music ensemble, symphony orchestra, wind symphony, brass ensemble, flute ensemble, harp ensemble, guitar ensemble, large choir, small choir, Chinese music ensemble, indigenous music ensemble, chamber music. I mean, I could just go on and on and on. Here is a place where we play music, and when you're here, you can pretty much find your way through all of these musics to try and follow what you'd like to do. So if you are a trumpet player and interested in big bands, you'll make an audition for a big band program, and you can do that as part of your large ensemble studies. If you're a flute player and you just want to be in the wind orchestra, that's lovely, but if you want to try a little bit of improvisation, you can join an improvised jazz group as well. So try us out. You can do so many things here.
Indeed. Look, there is another question, a great question about the Bachelor of Advanced Studies, the BAS degree, and how does that work?
Well, basically, we give you the first year to adjust to university life, and we suggest you just do the music program that you're in. In the second year, that's when your BAS studies will start to come into play, and at that point, you need to carefully look at your timetable of requirements for your music degree and your BAS degree. It's usually okay, usually at that point doing 2 units of one and 2 units of the other, so you should be able to fit it into the timetable.
Great. And one final question is again from one of our international students, potential international students. They want to know when the process starts for 2025 entries.
Oh my goodness. So for a 2025 entry, if you're an international student, you will need to do an audition sometime in July or September in 2024. You at the same time need to have a direct application to the University of Sydney so that you get on both sides, our accepted site for the audition and the University of Sydney site, to make sure that we can track you as an international applicant. We suggest that you start getting your visa organised very, very quickly, because sometimes that can take time, and I can't predict it. Sometimes it can take 2 days, sometimes it can take months. So just get onto the visa as soon as you know you've been offered a place.
Yeah, and indeed with all the international students, it's really, the earlier you can apply to us, it's really the better, because things do take time, and we don't want you to miss out to come to our amazing program we have here. Well, Anna, it's been a real joy hosting this session with you today.
It's fun hanging out with you, Matthew.
Is there any final words you have about the Sydney Conservatorium?
Well, I think this is the best place in the world to be, and I'd like you to be in this best place as well. So give it a shot and come and see us.
Absolutely. I feel really privileged to work here, and I feel really privileged to work with our incredible students, and I see the amazing things that they do, whether they're writing film music, whether they're performing in the Chinese music ensemble. I mean, that concert was incredible last semester. And I'd just like to finish by saying music is an amazing career. We're part of a multi-billion-dollar industry. That's only in Australia, let alone worldwide. There are tremendous opportunities, and when I was working out what I was going to do, I actually had a job as a computer programmer way back in 1986, and I thought, well, I'd take the risk and do a music degree. But it's not a risk, because it's what I love.
Yep.
And I think that's so important. That students, you need to do what you love, and then you'll do the best at it. We're part of a massive industry, and I'd like to think that the Sydney Conservatorium is really the best place for people to go to the next level. We're going to wrap up now with, again, another mass performance, which is from our orchestra and choir. And this is the finale of one of our Mahler symphonies, one of the highlights of the orchestral repertoire. And I hope you've enjoyed us being with us today. For those of you registered, hang around and you'll see the link to join the Zoom chat straight after this. Otherwise, we hope to see all of you auditioning or having an interview, and then potentially as students here at the Sydney Conservatorium of Music.
See you.